All right, so we are building and cleaning our assets. So we're on kind of step 2 of the process, where it says creating characters here, but we need to create our characters and our props and our settings, our sets, so that then we can set up the scene by arranging everything the way we want it for our first panel. So we're still on step 2, just building things. So I've been spending a lot of time going from the initial tree that was in my landscape to cutting it out and making it a prop tree that then I can manipulate, right? So this is what cleaning up your assets is all about. I might also want to add roots to this tree. So now I need to maybe bring in some new thing. And this is still compositing, right? So I can go to Pixabay, and I can look up tree roots. And it's really nice if it can be something that's already cut out, like this one. So we want to work pretty efficiently here. Something like that, but that's a little clip arty. And remember, Pixabay, they're all Creative Commons open. So I don't even need to worry about transforming them until they're unrecognizable, though they'll be just a small part of my animation. That's why I always like to use it rather than Google Images if possible. And instead of spending forever looking for it, I'm going to go with this one. I download it. And I can save it to this additional assets folder. So if I ever need it, I know where it is. Okay, so I have tree roots. Then I'm going to bring it in. And that's a full tree with roots, right? But I want those roots to be lower down. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take all of that. Let's see, I just need the bottom part of it. So before I rasterize it, I'm going to take this portion of it, all these tree roots, duplicate it, and maybe to make this all easier for you to see, I'm just going to make a new layer that's just white, so you can see what I'm doing without having to see all of the photographic background behind it. So I just say new layer, then I say fill with white. Okay, so what's on top of the white? Well, I'm going to have this tree that I built. This is the ground where the tree gets put into. This are the tree roots. And then these are the duplicate of the roots from that smart object. And having the white helps me trim it up. Remember, when you duplicate a selection, it automatically rasterizes it so you can erase. Now I'm going to take that tree and I'm building my prop, right? And maybe instead of it looking like this, maybe I warp it. And this is a nice clean cutout from Pixabay. So if I do edit puppet warp with it, I'll have a lot of control. I want this not to change because that's where it overlaps with the bottom of the tree. But these masses of roots, I can really move around like that and like this. And like this. So that they'll feel like they're pulled out of the ground rather than just stretching out. Okay, so now I have those roots. Now I'm going to move them and map them to the tree. And I'm going to blend and erase them out on the trunk. Using my compositing skills. So first 100% opacity. Get rid of that hard edge. And then lower opacities to start blending with that darker color of the roots. Voila. And maybe I take my tree asset and I trim it a little bit as well to better fit with the roots. So just all playing with these pixels. I am allowed to just draw my own, but I'm trying to keep all of this pretty photographic still. And with that in mind, I still need to cut this part out of that tree so it reveals what's behind. And this part. So cleaning up these assets, even though they're only going to be at screen resolution and they're going to pass by the eye pretty quickly as things are moving. Good. All right, what's next? I need a few other things in the scene, right? So I have the background. Now I have the tree on the background. And I have roots on the tree. So how can I make an asset with the tree roots? Well, I'm going to duplicate the tree, move that up, select it with the roots, and then merge them together. I'm going to mark all of the tree assets red. So I have a tree. I didn't do what I wanted. And then I've got the roots. What I need to do is duplicate the tree. Command J, move it up above the roots, select both of those layers, and merge them together. There we go. Now I have a tree with roots as an asset to use. So when it pulls out of the ground, there are the roots. I'm saying roots a lot. Jimmy Fallon. Okay, next. Why do I spend so much time building that asset? Well, it becomes a pretty big part of the story. You know, that tree gets grabbed, then it gets gobbled up, right? So it's the beginning of this transformation of the setting. I'm just going to transition these textures a little bit using clone stamp until I get my hero prop of the tree. There we go. So now I'm going to erase all the other trees because I don't need them. And now I'm going to put it underneath the ground, you know, behind the layer of the ground. So now everything that's on top, like the rocks, all of this can all get merged together to clean it up. Does that make sense? And I can create something new. So here's my setting. That's the backdrop. Then I have the tree, and then I have the tree in the ground, right there. But I need a little bit more to cover up these roots. So what I'm going to do is go from the setting right here, and I'm going to cut out a big chunk. This is the foreground. Really, I'm going to just create something to put at the front of the stage, like all these rocks. So I'm cutting them out of the background. Duplicating it, Command J, and then moving them up above. So if I turn that white layer on, just so you can see, there they are. And then I move them up above the tree as well. So now when I put my creature in there, so let's bring in my creature asset. There should be plenty, but I want enough overlap here. So on this one, I need to clone stamp and fill in these textures so that they go behind. Do it at 100% here. They go behind those rocks. Remember, it's sampling from all layers. Just like putting down sod. Cleaning it up. I kind of like these little roots that are protruding from the edge, but I'll soften them with some grass. And then I'm actually going to delete a little bit of where it goes into the earth here. It's too heavy-handed. I'm going to use my eraser, put a smaller, higher opacity. All right. So all those skills of manipulating the pixels that we use for the proving ground come into play here. So now, from the top back, I have these rocks, right? Then I have smoke. They're behind the rocks, the smoke machine. Then I have a little dodo up here, which is a character asset, which I marked blue. Then I have the ground. Think of it like AstroTurf on the stage with the bush. And then I have the tree. Now what's tricky is, when I get under the tree, I need that ground to be filled in. So what I'm going to do is go to that layer and then use clone stamp to show a pit where that tree came from. And I can do that just by taking some of these shadows from another layer, and clone stamping those in. Kind of show a little bit of rock that got exposed, a little deeper shadow, and then show the edge of the grass at the edge. All right. And if I need to, I can always just use a paintbrush and darken it, or I can burn it. I'll probably do that. Okay, and now I'm going to go to this layer and then burn that a little bit so the transition's a little bit stronger. So now it looks like there's like a hole where the tree got pulled out. And a little bit more brightness at the edge.